Okay, I'm in a place called McGinnis Canyon. That is down there, the Colorado River. This is once you get on the Colorado River, there's a place called Mac Landing that's a little bit up that ways. But once you get on this section, there's no getting off of it for, what is it, like 10 miles? 10 to 15 miles. And it goes through this type of canyon where it's very rugged, and it goes kind of through there and then down. Colorado River did not carve this, as much as they want you to believe that. Because if you look at the layers, how they're all flat and uniform. If it were more erosional, you would see stuff like this, where the stuff would be intermixed with other layers. So you'd see like rocks and stuff that were supposed to be part of one layer and another layer, which is not what you see when it comes to geology. And if you look at it, if this world had giants, so 20 feet tall giants, so let's see, 20 feet. So that rock, even though it doesn't look that far, that's probably 20 feet. Well, maybe 50 feet. But if they were 20 feet tall, they would be standing eye to eye to me if their feet were down there. So there were giants, and it was a much grander scale. And I did a video on it yesterday about giants. I was wrong, it's not Numbers 23, it's Numbers 13. Because I looked it up last night. But this is a cool area, and there's a lot to do. But if you were to try to survive during what's coming, if everything stayed the same, then this would be a great area, because this is completely cut off. In order for me to get here, it was 3 miles in, and so it's quite a bit in there. You do have bicyclists. I don't know if you see them, but there's a guy down there bicycling. But this is a great place to survive. And as you can see, one thing that I will comment on is the river. It may look clean and nice, but the way you know if a river is clean is what's above it. You don't know what's above it, because along the Colorado River there are a lot of mines and other things that you have to take into account. There's also farms and other things, so you have atrazine and Roundup and all this other crap going into it. So this water body is probably not very clean. There are ways of filtering, but what I would do is I would find an offshoot, like during spring or whatever, and you can find an offshoot where it's coming off of the mountains. There are what are those called, seeps and springs. A seep is just basically where, like, if that were a seep, the water would just be kind of oozing out of the ground. And so that is something to take into account. This would be a good area though to be in, because you could potentially use it, but you would have to boil it, and you could bathe in it, because I have gone swimming in it. Another really good thing is there's a lot of fish in there. In 2007, I was on this same river doing fish surveys for endangered fish, and we also electroshot this area to remove bass, crappie, and anything else that were invasive. So I know that this thing is full of all kinds of fish. Because otherwise than that, there aren't very many animals in here. The thing is out here, it's very dry and desolate, and our winter here has not been very nice. So survival, if it does hit this summer, it's not going to be a nice time, because I don't see any peaks. Oh yeah, I do. I don't know if you see them, but there are peaks right here that have snow in them. Let's see if I can zoom in. But yeah, you can see off in the distance there's peaks over there that have snow on them. But all these snow will basically melt and come into here. The Colorado River starts up in the Rocky Mountains, which not very far from here. Rocky Mountains are right over there, like about 50, 40 to 50 miles. This is kind of like the, if you will, like the slope of the Colorado Rockies. But this goes all the way to the Pacific, through Arizona, Utah. I don't think it goes to New Mexico. California, I think, maybe. But it goes a long way, and it supplies a lot of things for this area. But one thing that's nice is if you're surviving down here, there's a lot more vegetation. There's the problem is there's not a whole lot of things to eat. Like here, you can see that this is right here. These berries are called juniper berries. They're not very good. They don't taste very nice. But you can't eat them. But you can see I'm pressing pretty hard, and they're not really squishing. But you can see inside that they're green, and they are edible, but they don't taste very good. You can also put these in. This is what makes gin and tonic. But edible things are very hard out here. There isn't very much here. So your biggest primary food sources can be down there. And then if you can get enough and like smoke it up, what I would do is find ways of finding a higher elevation to find more food, because each elevation has different foods. Like down here, so that's probably down there, it's about 4,000 feet. And then you get up there, it's probably 5,000, 5 or like 5,500 feet. I'm not sure, I'm estimating. But you can see how the vegetation, there's like nothing here, and then you see all those bushes down there. Those are all probably juniper and pinyon, kind of like here. I'm at the same elevation as those over there. But you have, these are juniper berries, or your cedar. This is Mormon tea. You can use it as a tea. They have these, it kind of looks like horsetail, but they can be used. But out here, Indians used to be here, the Ute Indians used to be here, and they would make all kinds of different housing. One is they dug out this pit, was like 5 or 6 feet in the ground, and then they would make a dome over the top of it using the trees around. So that's one way of making vegetation, or like a place to be in for the night. But what they did is they followed the herds. They knew you have to be nomadic out here, because otherwise you're out of luck. And during summer, if you go to like 6,000 feet, so I would have to find somewhere, and the only place I know is over, Glade Park is up there somewhere, and that is close to 6,000, I think maybe 6,500. But there are places up there that you may find plants, but it's one of those things that you're going to have to explore. If you want soap, this is small-leaved, small-needled yucca. If you pull it up and use the roots, it's kind of like the soapy stuff. It's not edible, but you can use it as soap. This middle part you can actually use as a spindle for starting fires. And these are the pods of yucca, which you can see it's a little pod. But survival is going to be very interesting in the near future. And places like this, you're limited with food big time, unless you catch a lot of fish. And one thing quickly before it hits 10 minutes is things may alter very rapidly, because in the end of times, God says he's going to shake the very foundations of the earth, that mountains will be moved and islands will be off of their foundations. So this may completely change. Like everything you see here may be vastly different in the near future. Housing obviously will be moved off of their axes and everything else. So I guess I'll just keep going. But so this lane may look very different. All these rocks and stuff may fall into the Colorado River, and the Colorado River may not be here anymore. It may be like way over there. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're surviving out here is the critters that are here. We have all kinds of critters at this lower elevation. Moose are not obviously here. Moose like a wet environment, and they are around in Colorado. They're probably 6,000-7,000 feet, and but they are. If you go to high elevation like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 feet, and you try to encounter a moose, they're very aggressive, very unpredictable. And what you have to do is, if you have a straight shot between you and a moose, you get something between you and the moose, always. So if you have a moose charging you, that's the only way you're going to escape him. So you know what I'm talking about. Elk they're not aggressive unless they're rutting, and that usually happens September, October. And if you're hearing bugling, that's probably when they're rutting. But elk are higher elevation. They're also not over here. And this is something you need to know about the animals. They're regional. They like to have different vegetation. And elk don't like this type of region. They like, because of the bulk of the animal, they like to be at higher elevation. But that would be a good food resource if you could take an elk down. But you would have to have a bow and arrow, or you could also make what's called an atlatl. Basically, an atlatl is you take a branch. It would have to be a straight branch, and basically make a spear out of it. And then the other part is you make a chucker. So basically you have the main spear, and then you have off of it, you have basically a thing called a chucker, which will chuck the spear very fast. And that's what they hunted with in the past, because you could throw those things over 100 miles an hour. So potentially that's like 150 miles an hour. And they hunted in groups and hit obviously a mastodon or mammoth with multiple arrows. But out here, the threat out here is a snake, which are only out in the heat. If it's above 60 degrees, that's when they're out. If it's below 60 degrees, then it won't be out. But that is the main venomous snake that is in this area. The other snakes are not really harmful. We have garter snakes, rubber boas, ribbon snakes. Can't remember the others off the top of my head, but there's others. But I mean, you have to do what I'm doing now and basically exploring. I'm out here just kind of having fun and walking around. But if I knew rain was coming, what I would try to do is have a catchment system, like on something like this where it's cut down, and you could potentially catch water at certain times. However, water out here disappears pretty quick. Something that roams around at nighttime around here are your coyote, which have a tendency to be solitary, unless they're hunting something bigger, like an elk or a deer. Then they'll gather in groups. One tactic that they'll use if they're hunting in groups, they'll have one coyote, they'll lure something away, and then that animal will be lured away, and then they'll jump on them as a pack. Wolves just got reintroduced into Colorado, but that's more in the northern part of the state. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. But out here, if you're not, you need to know navigation, and you need to be able to read the landscape. And so, valleys will potentially have water going through them. But you need to be able to read, because if I decide to go like up and over the saddle right here, I don't know what's on the opposite side, because on the opposite side, especially out here, could be a ledge and other things. And a lot of people are just get lost very easily. So that's something to be aware of. But let's see, what other animals? I mean, out here, they're really, at this elevation, there aren't really any. Snakes are probably your primary. We do have spiders. We do have like a hobo spider will put the bite on you that will hurt for a little while really badly, but it won't kill you. You also have the black widow, which has the hourglass. So it has, let's see if I can, so it has, almost looks like a figure eight, but the top has a flat top and a flat bottom. And that's your hourglass, and it's all red, and it's usually on the abdomen. So you have the head part, and then you have the abdomen, and the hourglass is usually on the abdomen. So that is one thing to be careful of. If you take off your boots at nighttime, then you go to put them on again in the morning, you need to make sure that you shake them. We do have black bear here. They are 80 to 90%. Well, no, 80% they eat plant material. The other percentages are insects. They will eat dead things. But if you meet one, you basically stand up to it and they'll go the other way. However, if they do hit you with their paw, or if you get between them and their cubs and they hit you, that paw can is very sharp and it can knock you to the ground. So just be aware. Oh, another thing that's out here, Tobias. Another thing that's out here are mountain lions. Mountain lions are definitely around here. They're like they are cats. They're a big flipping muscular cat. They like to ambush their animal on what they're going after. And so you have to be very careful and cautious with that. But they will, what they like to do is they like to be on ledges and different things and look down. But the thing is with all these animals, I mean, yes, they have the potential to hurt you. But I looked up the statistics, and all these animals, I mean, every one that I've mentioned, I mean, there's like 20 deaths a year by these critters. So, I mean, it's not like they're going to kill hundreds or thousands of people. They're going to kill a small percentage of people. So, yeah. I'm just trying to offer you a little bit of survival information and to get you to think on your feet. And if you don't have tools, what you can do is you can make tools. You can see how sharp that is. But you can make tools, and you can use like little rocks like this and kind of cut your way, cut something open, or use rocks like this in order to survive out here. But I mean, it's basically, when you're surviving, it's just using what's around you and using your head. You may get lost. There are ways of marking the trail, like you can break sticks or figure out methods of leaving bits of fabric or something around and surviving that way. But yes, I mean, we're coming into a time where this world's going to change vastly, and the world that you're seeing right now may not be the same, because when God hits and the Lord's Day comes, this place is going to change. So thank you for joining me. God bless you all.